Welcome to the first in a short series of spotlight videos. These are going to be about accessories, and this first one is about randomizers. And specifically this week I want to talk about something called long dice. Now we know that science types have speculated on probabilities for ages. I mean, literally for ages. I am not qualified to talk about the mathematics behind probability. That's something more suited for people like Jeff Engelstein or Reiner Knizia, not this lame old brain of mine. On the other hand, I do enjoy randomizers and playing the probabilities to a certain extent. But they say that dice and other randomizers are actually older than recorded history, definitely older than games. Since the dawn of time, mankind has speculated about chance and randomness. And for the majority of human existence, it's always been accredited to the unseen, to forces beyond our ken, the gods, the spirits, the muses, the hand of fate, or at least the flying fickle finger of fate. And if you get that reference, thank you. But a very prominent conduit for those unseen forces has been dice of a certain description. Of course, one of the earliest dice-like objects that were in fair use were astragals, knucklebones. As they were tossed, they would come to rest with a certain face up, and after a while people realized that there's a certain set there of those, and they could use those to bet on, and eventually to dictate the movement of game pieces and so on. Alia acta est, if you get my drift. But there are also binary dice. Here are some stick dice that we use fairly often, and these come in some of our games from New Venture. And stick dice take a lot of different forms. There's a video I did a while back about how stick dice work, so you can take a look at that if you're interested in that. And binary dice take a lot of forms as well. Coins and beans and corn kernels and the ever-popular cowrie shells. Stick dice in particular are sort of part of this family of long dice because they're long. They take a lot of varied forms around the planet as well. But you add a third side, which is really rare in history to find three-sided stick dice, and now suddenly you've got a wider range of random results that you can get out of a limited number of dice. I think one of the reasons that the three-sided stick dice never really caught on is the same reason that the tetrahedral dice are not so much fun. They don't tumble. You throw them and they land, and then you're done. But a four-sided long die is fairly easy to make and gives you a much wider range of possibilities for results. And the four-sided long dice have been very popular throughout the ages. Sometimes they were stubby little hexahedra. I think they may have been attempting to make cubic dice, but they didn't come out right because they quite often will have pips on the ends of them. But more deliberately, they'll be long dice with rounded or pointed ends so that it prohibits them from landing on the end. But just generally long dice are going to roll nicely and give you a nice wide variety of results. The most popular long dice I know of today are the Dayakati dice used in India, and these are the most popular dice they use there for their board games and such. They're traditionally made out of brass. These particular ones are an anodized aluminum, but you can find them all over the internet, and they're very hefty and satisfying to toss these dice. But the pips on them are drilled into the metal, and there's a 1, a 2, and a 3, and then the fourth side is blank. And archaeologically, that's found to be a fairly common configuration for four-sided long dice. The Viking dice have been found in a lot of different configurations. This particular one is the Saku dice from the Sami game Saku, and it has an X on the one side and a 2 and a 3, and then the fourth side is blank. Other Viking dice, like those used for Daldos, will have an A or a double X on one side and a 2, 3, 4. Point is that they're very customizable and they're very easy to make. Some of the four-sided stick dice are binary in the effect. This one right here has two dark sides and two light sides. These have been found in archaeological sites as a pair. One die with the pips, 1 through 4, and another one that's binary. And the idea is that that binary die is a modifier, so that when you roll the 2 dice, it can affect the total of the other. It can double it, or it may have some other negatory effect as well. These 4-sided dice are the simplest of the barrel dice family. When they start adding more sides is when they start calling them barrel dice. There's a really unique die that's 5-sided Prism. It has hash marks and the up-facing sharp edge, sort of like the Irish ohm lettering. More common are hexagonal barrel dice. This is a little one I made myself. And the hexagon is not too difficult to make. But I'll give you a hint if you want to make some 6-sided barrel dice. Grab a pencil. A very common shape for a pencil shaft is a hexagonal prism. And that's 6 sides right there. And I have seen pencils manufactured with hash marks on the sides, 1 through 6. And if you toss one of these on the table, the odds of getting a particular result is exactly the same as a cubic die. So if you grab a pencil and you cut it up in shorter lengths and then put markings on the side, you got a fistful of 6-sided dice. Of course, the history of dice goes all the way back to sticks and stones and knuckle bones, all the way up to today's peculiarly proportioned plastic polyhedra. And I'm definitely not going to cover that in these few minutes. But I just wanted to introduce the subject a little bit and to let you know that we do have some in our catalog. We presently offer the sets of stick dice, and we also have Viking dice, the Daldos dice, and the Saku dice in our catalog right now. I'm going to continue this series of short chapters about accessories. I hope you'll follow along with me. And no matter how great the proportion of random factor in what you play, be sure to play every day.